Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Unnatural Selections. I'm once again your host for the evening, Alfred Warner. Tonight, I have a special treat for everyone. We are going to be talking about one of the most controversial films ever made. I'm talking, of course, about Baise Moi, a highly controversial film from 2000. Now, that is, of course, the French version of the title. There has been some dispute over the proper verbiage for it, but I will let you figure out the American version on your own. Now, where do I begin with this film? First things first. It comes to us from a wonderful filmmaker by the name of Virginie Despentes, French author and writer, who was quite unknown at the time. This was her first foray into filmmaking, and it is based on her own 1993 novel of the same name. Now, the film follows two outcasted, disgruntled, marginalized characters by the name of Nadine and Manu, as they embark on a destructive, powerful, revolutionary journey of sexual violence against society and against men. Now, due to its depictions of sexual violence both against men and women, and its unsimulated sexual acts, including rape, oral, and anal sex, this film has been heavily banned worldwide for many years and has earned itself a permanent spot on many top 10 or even top 20 controversial film lists, and rightfully so. Many of the cast and crew are straight from the French porn market themselves. The director even co-wrote the script with a former French porn actress, and I believe at one time in her life was a sex worker herself. Now, violence, more specifically sexual violence, is what this film revolves around, and it is what sets our characters in motion. Now, there are many schools of thought on this subject. Everyone will have an opinion. Everyone will want to talk about their own expressive thoughts about the situations being depicted. My thoughts remain the same. No woman should ever endure the threat of violence in any situation, least of all a sexual one. When they get up in the morning, they should feel safe and content when they walk down the street, when they meet someone new, and of course when they are about to engage in any type of sexual act. Women do not need to be afraid of sex, and neither do men. However, I've said this in the past, and I will repeat it again for you all here this evening. For every action undertaken in this world, there is a reaction, otherwise known as a consequence. And no one is immune to these, regardless of their gender. Now, the reason I feel this film is important is not due necessarily to the incredibly graphic depictions of violence, sexual violence, torture, so on and so forth. But it deals with issues that we as a society have been struggling with for many years and have not even come close to overcoming. Now, perhaps in this day and age they are more prevalent. They're certainly not more important. Perhaps we did not draw the proper attention we needed to back in 2000 when this film was released. Things that were not considered quite as controversial then are now highly controversial today. My only thought on the subject, and I am not a psychologist by any stretch of the imagination, perhaps this is better suited for someone like that, but my thought process is, if we all understood that we are the same animal, and we are all dependent on the web of nature, if we all thought and acted accordingly, these problems would slowly disappear over time, because there would be nothing to question. Now, questioning things is quite important. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that, but some of these issues do have solutions, and I think we need to get to them for our own sake. Now, I do believe everyone should see this film at some point or another, not for its political incorrectness, because this film was shot very low budget, without the use of artificial lighting, which was a personal choice done by the director. Some people feel it gives the film a very amateurish look. Some people feel that it sets the proper tone, gives the film its raw, organic look that they feel it should have due to the scenarios being depicted. Either way, I believe one thing is true, and that is this issue is very important. Not just then, but now more than ever. And I think we need to continue to talk about it, because the more we talk about it, the more we get people's opinions, and the more we see things like this, the more it'll drum up information. And the more information we have, the better for everyone. So I urge everyone to check this film out if you can. Now, it is highly unlikely that it is available in any of your local film stores, online, etc., etc. Not for its content alone, but for its raw realism and power of the situations being depicted. It may open your eyes, and even your minds, something that you perhaps didn't know about before. Or maybe you thought you did, and no longer feel the same way. Information is everything. We can't just assume we know everything. Could we? That about wraps up our time here tonight. I thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode of Unnatural Selections. I am your host, Alfred Warner. Until next time, stay safe. Good night.